a troubling trend is emerging in the Eastern Cape as businesses face a mounting pressure to pay protection fees to criminal elements. Reports are surfacing that these demands are becoming increasingly prevalent, leading to some businesses having no choice but to shut down. We'll look at the impact of these extortion demands on the local economy and what measures are being taken to address this growing crisis. To speak more on this, let's welcome Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane. Premier, thank you so much for your time. Well, several reports and statements by business community members suggest that this issue is very widespread, with little intervention from authorities to lend support in the Eastern Cape. But let's perhaps get a sense from you in terms of what is actually and how closer you are in getting to the bottom of this problem, Premier, particularly in Mthatha.
Thank you very much, Justice Zodwa. Good afternoon, and also good afternoon to our viewers. Well, we have been tackling this issue at the level where we are for some time. It might have been blown out of proportion now, and it has been there for some time, and we've been confronting it at the level where we are with the legal resources that we have. For instance, last year we even wrote, sometime in July, we even wrote to the Minister of Defense and asking the national and the president that we need a deployment of soldiers here to protect the fiscus, because we saw that the major catalytic projects that are currently being rolled out in the province are actually under threat. If you talk at N2 Highway with those two bridges, Mthentu, Msikaba, Mzimvubu, water dam, and a number of other critical projects. We thought that we need to protect fiscus. We have lost money already in the Mthentu first attempt with the first award because of the same construction mafias. Now it has been actually, as you indicated, that it has been proliferating throughout. It's almost everywhere, even in small towns. If you talk about Tsofimvaba, we've been getting those reports, certain grouping of people who actually mutating between Cape Town and Tsofimvaba. They will be doing these kind of things. And it's not only in those towns. It's almost a kind of a cancer that is spreading. In Mthatha, it has been a problem. It has been manifesting itself in different forms. At some point, it will be a property grabbing, the government properties being taken by people without following processes. We've been dealing with that. We've gone to court and all that. So I'm happy that with all the work that we've been doing with the former minister, you would understand this has been happening in areas like Mqhekezweni, Biki, etc., crime in Port St. John, but we've made some decisive breakthroughs, interventions. It's a similar thing with what we have seen at Fort Hare. It's a similar syndicate that would have been operating at Fort Hare, killing people, extorting universities, stealing money of the university. Yeah. These are kind of problems of organized crimes that we've been seeing. Yeah. So in Mthatha, I'm happy that from the meeting we had last week with the minister, the minister has listened himself, not for the first time, even other ministers did that. But I was happy with his turnaround time, his agility to actually live up to his word.
Premier, if you can allow me to come in there. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the Defense Ministry. We do understand, however, that the Deputy Minister of Defense, Bantu Olomisa, has in fact rejected calls for the SANDF to intervene. This, of course, is concerning because these reports that we're hearing and what you're saying suggests that this criminal syndicate is also targeting other spaces, infiltrating schools and healthcare facilities. Apparently, the situation is so bad that people are going into hiding because of this. I mean, can you confirm that, in fact, that the SAPS has then been tasked to intervene as opposed to having soldiers on the ground monitoring the situation?
SAPS has been doing its work. We've been working with SAPS, and they've done their level best. I want to commend them here. They've tried their level best, but it has been an overwhelming situation. The Eastern Cape is so vast. These organized crimes have been manifesting themselves in the form of cash in transit. In the Eastern Cape, if a cash in transit is done in the Far East, that would mean you need about 500-600 kilometers traveled. So without resources like helicopters and other things, we are struggling to deal and contain that. But I'm happy that the minister has since intervened, that helicopters deployed, A lot of capacity intervention has been made since his visit. Yesterday, a lot of vehicles were arriving with the personnel and the senior investigators and generals to command this situation in Nelson Mandela as well as in Mthatha. Those two might be the key prime areas, but it's a problem that we have that we need to flush out, not only in Mthatha as well as in Gqeberha, but throughout the province, because it does exist. People are being killed in the small towns. People are being extorted, and so we are focusing across the province. And we know, unfortunately, this province is being used as a refugee camp by these criminals who commit crimes in Johannesburg, in Durban, in Cape Town. They run here because they can easily hide around here, and they continue with those things. But also the province is a construction site. There's a lot of government work, social infrastructure, rollout plan, whether it's schools, construction, whether it's roads and all that. So it's now seen others, instead of getting 30% for local beneficiation and develop themselves as entrepreneurs and grow their companies. Some come and say, no, we don't want any work, 130% we go.
Yeah.
That's criminality
Premier,
on its own.
I think we know how these mafias manifest in terms of, from a national perspective. Just going back to your province, I mean, how concerned are you that in cases of construction mafias and these extortion from businesses, that some government officials, in fact, and some political figures are behind some of these syndicates? Is that something that you're also prioritizing in terms of investigating who is behind these syndicates?
Yeah, definitely. That's why I was saying we're getting some capacity intervention to make sure that we get the best the senior investigators who can follow through this. We know that this is an organized crime. It's not something that has just happened just like that. There are masterminds who are managing this. To a larger extent, we hear more about other people who are managing this from jail. Whether you talk about St. Albans or you talk about Wellington in Mthatha, some of these instructions, whether people are to be killed or cash in transit, whatever, some people in jail, they are into that kind of a space. We are dealing with that. Now we've got NIU reinforcement, we've got TRT, more boots on the ground to deal with this issue. So I'm quite happy with the response since our last two meetings, Thursday and Friday, in Mthatha and Gqeberha respectively. So we've been dealing with it as a province. We've never been quiet about it for some time. We've been confronting this situation. We've been working with generals here, provincial commissioner, we've been working with the district generals, but we still want to have people coming out. So we reach a stage where our people are so terrified, they fear thugs more than anything else. They rather die their natural death quiet in a corner. So we want our people to come and have a trust in police and report these incidences so that we can nip them in the bud. In Mthatha, we've arrested so many thugs who have been actually forcefully grabbing the properties there for some time when Hawks had to follow through and investigate. Police have been doing their level best, but my own assessment is that police have been overwhelmed in the province. I'm happy with the intervention that the minister is making. We met with the minister last week evening, Thursday, Minister of Police as well as Minister of Justice.
I think
because we need to deal with the entire value chain.
Premier, I think we've got the gist of your interventions. Given the fact that you've had this meeting last week, I think what residents would really like to see is arrests, particularly in terms of these syndicates that we are speaking of. But Premier, we'll have to follow up with you on that. But thank you so much for your time. That's all the time that we have, unfortunately. Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane there.